I'd like to welcome you this morning to our presentation, Lost Generation Meets Second Life, Teaching Literature in a Virtual World. Objectives for today's lesson are to allow you to discover how applying immersion learning combined with technology can provide you an authentic learning experience for adult learners. And we want to have you experience educational content within Second Life Virtual World. Next slide. The background for our project is basically that in 2007, the president of St. Leo University sent out some information about the Second Life Virtual World, encouraging staff and faculty to explore possible uses. Michael Dedez began by exploring Second Life and developed a presence for the university within the virtual world. Michael is the online community manager at St. Leo University. Michael began by purchasing land and building a replica of the university's main campus in St. Leo, Florida. Next, we began to explore possible academic uses for Second Life as an instructional strategy within our online courses. Next slide. The concept of immersion learning is based on constructivist learning theory. Students learn best by doing. The more hands-on, the better. By applying what they've learned in the online classroom, students experience the world in which Hemingway lived and worked. Next slide. Immersion learning activities are designed to place learners in a context that allows them to take control of their learning experience. This is similar to learning a foreign language by being immersed in a country where that language is spoken. Next slide. Second Life as an instructional strategy seemed like a perfectly possible idea. The survey of major writers in the 20th century course was chosen for implementation of that initial pilot for this strategy. Dr. Mary Spota, who is one of our presenters here today, was also a person who, she's the dean of the College of Liberal Arts and Sciences at St. Leo University. So she served as a subject matter expert in the process of designing this experience, as well as being the dean of that program. Through applying what they've learned in the classroom, students learned about having a digital experience of the world in which Hemingway lived and worked. English 311, Survey of Major Writers of the 20th Century, is a general education literature course surveying major movements and writers of the 20th century. Offered online in an 8-week, 8-module format, the course includes a study of the historical and cultural influences shaping the literature of the time. The Second Life experience occurs in week 3 of the course, with preparation for the activity occurring in weeks 1 and 2. Next slide. Mary Spota was going to be talking to you about that.
Thank you, Diane. As Diane has said, we did quite a bit to prep everyone for this Second Life experience with Hemingway in the post-World War I era. So prior to their Second Life experience, students are instructed in the time period surrounding the writing of the novel. We pay a lot of attention to World War I and the post-war era and the literary and artistic movement called modernism. The students are taught about events leading up to World War I and the art. They're given examples of the art and the artistic movements of the time period. They learn Hemingway's biography and his major themes. They read a critical article on the novel as well to prepare them for what is to come in Module 3. They're exposed to major influences of the time in the arts like Pablo Picasso and Gertrude Stein, who actually are part of the students' Second Life experience. Next slide, please. Prior to their experience in Module 3 of the course, students read a passage to place them in the time period. And it reads, "It is the year 1921. You are at Montparnasse looking for a seat at the Closerie de la Lasse. You finally find a spot and order a coffee from the harried waiter. The cafe is bustling with conversations, music, some from the neighborhood locals, others from the expatriates like yourself who have stayed here in Paris after the war. At the small table next to yours, 3 men huddle together to argue about modern art. Across the way, you notice a young man, a North American, focused on his writing and who has apparently blocked out everything around him. You have entered Hemingway's Paris." At this point, it was Mike's job then to create the experience, and I'll turn that over to him.
This slide is about the components of the experience. First was the research and development of the 1920s Paris Cafe. This was with the music and fashion from the era. This consists of having to do a lot of research of the different types of clothing and music that would be appropriate. One issue we ran into early was making sure the clothing was correct. So of course, we went to the Google box and during this stuff a lot and decided together what would be best. The next part of the experience that needed to be added was Hemingway, Picasso, and Stein avatars with conversational prompts. Just like with having to make sure the clothing was the correct, we ran into issues when creating Hemingway. Most people think of Hemingway as Papa Hemingway. Well, in the 1920s, it was still the younger looking Hemingway. So when I asked our designer to build a Hemingway, we of course got Papa Hemingway. That mix-up, we made sure everyone knew all the objects must be from the 1920s or the 1900s. We added conversation prompts using Pandora bots. So each one of the avatars, the Hemingway, Picasso, and Stein, have over 100 questions that the students can have conversations with them. Next part of the experience was the patrons of the cafe. Just as the cafe should be, it needs to look busy. So we had people created out of prims to play the part of people to making it look busy. There are some businesses that make people out of prims in Second Life, but ours needed to be from the 1920s, so we had to get these custom made as well. Being an audio file as part of the experience is important to set the mood. So we created an audio file, chapter 1 of Good Cafe of Place Saint Michel from A Movable Feast, performed by the director of theater at St. Louis University. We added an intro along with some 1920-ish music playing in the background of the audio file. The students play the audio file and listen while getting to experience what Hemingway was talking about. Finally, we offered students the opportunity to visit virtual Paris outside the cafe. We built this cafe with a partnership with the Paris 1900 Sims with NetPat. Agale and have a copy of the island on the 1900s island, so that students can teleport there and can experience Paris as a whole. Many students love getting a chance to see the Eiffel Tower. NetPen actually had one of his designers go to the cafe in Paris to get permission to build this in Second Life and to take pictures of the replica to make it identical. Trying to get it to go to the next slide. Next is implementing scaffolding. First, we developed training videos. This is to make things for online students easy as possible. So we broke it down into 3 videos. Week 1 video was just us walking the students through the process of downloading Second Life. Week 2 video shows the students how to log in and just use the SL URL to get to the cafe. Week 3 video explains to the students really how to play the audio file and get around the cafe, walking, pressing buttons, if it's sitting, and those types of things. Second is the preparation of the avatars for the students. This changed a few times over the last couple of years. We started out by creating 30 avatars and getting them set up at Orientation Island. I would have a list of these avatars and passwords, set them up in the right clothing and everything, hand it to the professor, and the professor would hand out all of these avatars to all the students in their class every semester. When we started the project, avatars had first and last names. Now, since it's just usernames, we were able to create simpler usernames for students to use. We ran into a lot of issues with the spacing of the first name and last name. People would assume it was username, so we had a lot of problems with that. So we just created usernames to make it easier. Also, I created a Google Docs survey more recently that allows students to put in some information that generates a trigger to email me that someone has filled out the survey. This way, the professor doesn't have to hand out 30, 60 usernames and passwords every single semester. Instead, it's just the students who have actually gone in and gone through the process. Yeah, this takes off a lot of the stress for the professor's hands and handing all the usernames and passwords. Now only have to email just the students that fill out the survey. Third is setting up the avatars to teleport to the cafe as well as other locations within Second Life. We use the SL URL feature to create URLs to different locations around the 1900s Paris Islands, as well as the St. Louis University Islands. Next up was training students to navigate within Second Life. This was the final part of the implementation. First, we started off by the facilitation of chat sessions with groups of students. At the beginning, we were doing this chat session every semester. This provided us with a lot of great feedback, so we could tweak the videos to make them simpler to understand and when we would hold these chat sessions, no one started showing up. No one would come because the videos and the instructions we gave them were so in depth and so to the point that students really had no more issues. So we actually stopped the chat sessions altogether. Training sessions with individual students. That is something I still do from time to time. Some students still can't fully understand how to get into Second Life, run into some issues. So I will help them sometimes with one-on-one. I find myself shooting emails.
Question dedicated to the Second Life activity. And that question was, how has your Second Life experience in 1920s Paris and listening to the excerpt from Hemingway's The Movable Feast informed your understanding and appreciation of the novel, The Sun Also Rises, and the time period in which he wrote. Our initial pilot study was conducted in the fall of 2010 with 45 students, and it was very, very encouraging, and we wanted to share with you those initial results. It revealed that a whopping 91% of the respondents described this experience as positive. Even those, as Mike had said, who were very new or very hesitant, were very uncertain, they were overwhelmingly excited about this experience as an enhancement to their learning about the literature. Only a small number, just 9% of the respondents, described the experience as not beneficial to their understanding and their appreciation of the novel. So we were very, very encouraged at the beginning to know that this was working. And as Mike was building the students' confidence along the way, they really found the experience of reading the novel and being immersed in this world to be absolutely worthwhile. Since that initial pilot study, the ongoing assignment has been effectively included in at least one or often two sections of this course over the past 18-week sessions. And we have had the same kind of incredibly positive response. I'll add here for us that this particular class is for the non-major. And so literature can be a very difficult and very challenging thing to present to non-majors. They tend to be intimidated. And so to have something like the Second Life experience enhance the student learning was really, truly a wonderful experience for everyone involved. Please, Mike. So we have some highlights from some of the student responses that we wanted to share with you. And I'm just going to highlight a few of the words. As you're looking at the PowerPoint slide, you'll see some boldface there, and just kind of focus in for you. But you can see we've put the larger comment for you to glance through as you'd like. But these particular comments really give a very broad understanding of the kinds of responses that we've had. So in this first one, the student tells us, I feel it helped capture the general feeling of that time in history. The music and scenery in Second Life, mixed with the imagery derived from the novel, The Sun Also Rises, definitely aids the reader in a broader understanding of the way it felt to live in that time. And that really was one of the most common kinds of responses that were received, that the students got a sense of being there that was so successful. Next slide. Another student offered for us, it gave more perspective and helped to paint the picture of how these characters may have navigated through life. Next slide. And still another student states, after navigating through the program, I'm compelled to read the novel again to immerse myself further into the experience. This was an ingenious concept of incorporating modern technology into the digestion of a timeless literary classic. And I think we should also add for you that we do have many non-traditional adult learners in the online program where technology is going to be fairly new to them. And to receive a response like this was indeed very, very encouraging. Next slide, please. I believe this whole learning process not only helped me see and understand more things about Hemingway's world, but about myself. I also think of how great this particular exercise was and have to thank technology for this. Next slide. I felt I was in the room with him, Hemingway, to participate in the gathering of his emotion to pen his novel. experiencing Second Life's version of the 1920s cafe made the story more true to life. And so, as you can see, a wonderful array of positive responses of how the Second Life experience enhanced learning. Diane?
Yes. I believe that what Mike was talking about before, I wanted to go back a little bit and talk about one of the implications that came out of our original pilot and our ongoing utilization of Second Life in this course has been the development of the training videos. And that has really, I believe, really encouraged a lot of the positive reactions that we've had and the utilization that has been ongoing. That development of the training videos and the preparation of the students, giving them an avatar so that they don't have to set one up, teleporting them to the cafe, and training them to navigate within Second Life. Those 2 weeks before they're actually going into the cafe and doing the scenario. It's very, I really do believe that has been an incredible addition that's made this into a successful launch and implementation. And some of the other implications are that changing a student's learning environment appears to really enhance a student's learning experience. Authentic learning within an immersive virtual environment appears to provide an opportunity for deeper learning. Immersion learning appears to provide an avenue of relevance for adult learners. Like I said, like Mary was telling you, our major component of in terms of demographics of our students are between 40 and 49. So this has really given them an opportunity to make this experience relevant to their lives and to the world around them. And constructivist learning theory is a framework for immersion learning. There's distinct possibilities for the inclusion of immersion learning opportunities based on the use of this technology as an innovative instructional strategy. So we've been very pleased with this ongoing use. Like Mary was telling you before, we've been using it. It's 18 terms now, which is 3 years, and 8 terms every year, 6 terms every year, with at least 50 students each term. So that's quite a number of people that have been touched by this experience. So I just wanted to add those things. And I guess now, next slide, it's time for questions. Yes, the slides will be available. Mike, I believe that's a question for you to answer. Perhaps you can just answer that in the chat box.